Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. I'm your host, Kelly, and I have with me Megan.
Hello, hello. It's so nice and cool right now. We were just talking off the recording about like the heat, and I have been hating it. So I'm so happy about this like springy, windy weather.
Yes, I am enjoying it as well. I'm wearing a cute little sweatsuit, and it feels so nice because it's kind of damp along the coast right here today. But
it was very warm, very warm.
It was extremely warm. I went somewhere on Sunday. I was just telling you about it. And the like invite notice that we had gotten had said to bring a hat. And I looked at the overcast sky that morning and I said, I don't need a hat. And then I sat, and as soon as I sat down for this event, the sky cleared and the sun came beaming out as strong as it possibly could. And it was not the type of event that you can get up and excuse yourself from. So I sat in that direct sun heat with no shade, no hat, nothing for 4 hours. And I had a pounding headache. I felt like I was going to pass out. It was the worst.
Was this Saturday or Sunday?
It was Sunday.
Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, no, Saturday, I got together with my closest friends that love Bridgerton as well. And we threw ourselves a Bridgerton tea party. And we've been planning this. We do this every time there's a season, like an episode, like, cause we've all read the books, but when the season comes out, we all get together in Regency gowns, by the way, may I add, and like our hair all done. And my friend went full blown all out and got herself a Victorian Queen outfit with the wig. And we didn't know it was gonna be 95 degrees in this tea party that we had outside. And we were trying to play like Pall Mall and be like super fancy and like sweating so hard. And I was just kept thinking to myself, like, okay, these ladies were dealing with this as well. And I have no clue how they kept themselves so nice. And like,
I don't either, because I mean, it gets hot.
Yeah.
And we're only in May, so I can only imagine, but yeah.
So it was fun, but also like, I wish that we had the weather that we had today, because that was kind of what we were anticipating. Cause I don't do well in the heat. Like I just don't like,
I don't either. I'm super photosensitive. So I don't do well with like strong sunlight and heat. My body just starts to shut down. So
yeah, we're a party.
Yeah.
Invite us.
We're a good time
party. Yeah. So it was a fun weekend, but man, it was like that unexpected heat wave that I was not anticipating, nor can enjoy. If there was a time where I'm like, oh, 90 plus, see me out on the pool, laying out poolside, then that's one thing. But I'm like, I got stuff to do and this is in my way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like had no time for that. But anyway, speaking of taking time for yourself.
Yes. So that is going to be our topic today. And we have touched on this in a roundabout way on a lot of our other topics, even our last topic about burnout. We touched on this a little bit.
Yes.
But today I think we want to focus a little bit more specifically on just basically making time to not just for hobbies and friends and things like that, but just taking time out of your day to just kind of be alone and have your own me time. And it doesn't necessarily need to be super self-care focused. It can just kind of be like a spoiling yourself moment. Like the topic for the article is taking yourself on dates, but even expanding beyond that, I think just anytime that we prioritize taking our own private space is something that is not only good for our, well-being, and we need that time, but it's mentally changes your perspective when you schedule and prioritize your own time. There's something about like putting a slot in your schedule that's just for you, even if you don't do anything that extraordinary with the time. It changes kind of your perspective and how you prioritize your own needs. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk to you about today. And I think both of us could probably talk all day long about this subject. We are well versed.
Yes, I think that depending on where you are in your life, I mean, you could be very, very dedicated and motivated towards your job and your work and your career, or maybe you're just a super mom, or you're, you're just really busy doing something. It's like one of those things that, depending on where you are, this can be a very big struggle, taking time out for yourself, taking yourself out to do things that you have always been like, I want to do that, but you just kind of never do. Because I feel like in a lot of areas in our life, we all wait for that perfect moment to show up where it's like, oh, like I'll do that when I'm not busy, or I'll do that, when the weather's better. Like we're all waiting for that perfect moment where our schedule will allow that. And if you wait, it'll never happen. So, the importance of taking time for yourself, and then even going as far as, maybe you're with someone that doesn't share the same interests as you, and there are things that you have wanted to do. I feel like as a society, we tend to feel, depending on, I don't know, I feel weird being alone in places or environments that maybe call for social gatherings that are more couple based or friend based. But maybe I'm like, why can't I just go get a drink by myself without feeling odd?
Yeah, it's so important for us to get comfortable being alone, especially being alone in public. And that could be eating at a restaurant by yourself, which is my big thing. That always feels really weird to me. I love going to the movies by myself. But going to a restaurant by myself or sitting at a bar and having a drink feels odd. And and as a woman, I get a little wary about being approached. Like people are going to think I'm there to meet Mr. Right, which is so.
Yeah. Or maybe you got stood up and that's an invite for someone to sit down. It's like, no, I'm just literally here.
Yeah. I mean, immediately no, I don't want to.
Immediately no. The most common dates I see where people take themselves out are like when you go get your Starbucks and you see people on their laptops, completely secluded in their own environment. Like they're not welcoming conversation. And so they could be there all day, But we mean that I love Olive Garden. Okay. And I love their unlimited salad and breadstick situation. And I could sit there all day, or at least until I'm full, drinking a limoncello and just enjoying myself. But just the thought of going and taking myself out to a restaurant that I know for 1,000% fact that Dan hates the Olive Garden, I just straight up haven't gone in a long time. And I'm like, well, why not take myself out to lunch? And then all of these, worries of what other people will think come into play. Or like you said, a very good example, if you're sitting at a bar, you don't want to get approached or have a conversation be started. That's not what you're there for. So it's like this tug of war if I want to do it, but
Yeah. And I think, we could take it, I like, if I'm going to eat in a restaurant by myself, I will bring a book with me so that I look occupied. And I also just love to read.
It's like a comfort blanket, right? Or your phone.
But I think we could take this a step farther, because one of the things that I've only had the opportunity to do it a couple of times, but I found it to be really, really enjoyable, is for me traveling by myself. Because it's not so much like the traveling part of it, but just being somewhere on my own, somewhere different and maybe new to me that there are things I want to see and go do and sightsee and explore that my partner doesn't have much of an interest in. I love to go to museums. I love to go look at old buildings. I love to just walk around the city and kind of get lost in in a new place. And that's not something that's really that interesting or comfortable for my partner. So I found when I don't have to think about other people's needs when I'm traveling, I have a really enjoyable experience. Just literally no plan, just kind of following whatever interests me. Go look at that. Oh, that's interesting. See a sign for something else. Go try that. I just really enjoy that. But when I'm traveling with my kids or my partner, I feel like I need to plan every second of the trip so nothing goes wrong and no one's inconvenienced, and everybody gets a chance to do the thing that they want to do, because we all have different interests, right? My kids are adults and they have their own interests. And so I find it really freeing to be able to travel on my own, whether it's a road trip or a travel to a place I haven't been before, and just, focus on myself and what interests me.
Yeah, I'm like that. I mean, I don't travel alone, but I do go as far as like going to Disneyland by myself for a couple hours. And there's such a difference because I've taken all types of trips, right? With my friends or with my kids, and like just literally going there and grabbing like a churro and just people watching or walking down the street and not having any agenda and not having to figure out who wants to go where, who wants to do what. And then like leaving when I'm over it and say I didn't do anything at all, that's still okay. Like I've taken my kids and we've gone on 0 rides because it's just been so crowded, and we've left and they've been like, that was for nothing. And I'm like, sometimes that's okay, you know? So whether it's Disney or traveling or going out and doing something where your sole focus is just being content with yourself in that moment, I kid you not, do that one time and then it'll be addicting. You'll be like, well, shoot, that was really nice. Like I went from going to like my favorite coffee shop that maybe necessarily wasn't down the street or the most convenient, but like making the plan to say like, okay, Wednesday morning, I have time. I don't have the kids. I'm going to go and do that for myself. And I did that once, and that turned into like watercolor painting on the beach. Like it just snowballs into, wow, that was really nice. I deserve that more. What else can I do? What else does my soul need? You know, and like you'll find different ways to treat yourself. And like, you may be a really busy mom or a really busy person. You may not be able to do this all the time, but putting that date on the calendar then and making the plan and making that, and just as important as putting the date on the calendar for your kids' things or your husband's things or your wife's things, like there's something to that just becomes like, oh, I want to do that again and again. You know, it's not something you have to train yourself for very long to do. From my own perspective, I did it once and I was like hooked, you know?
Yeah. I think that everyone, you know, it's compromise is part of life. It's what we all do to make our relationships work and to, you know, be the best, person we can in the relationships that we have, whether it's with our kids, our friends, our partners, whatever, we compromise. And because not everyone likes the same things or has the same interest. And it's very normal that if you're a certain type of person who likes to make other people happy and is generous and giving, it's very common that you compromise so much and so frequently that a long period of time could go by where you realize you haven't really done any of the things that you enjoy doing, you know, for yourself, because maybe you don't have a lot of other people who enjoy doing those things with you. And so, you know, a long period of time can go by where you're like, wow, you know, I haven't.
We get in like a habit of a routine of just pouring ourselves and our time and our thoughts and our love and our everything to others and to other things, that it'll just hit us one day at the most random of times, or somebody will be talking about somewhere they went or something they did, and they'll be like, oh wow, like we had a completely different president the last time I did something for myself. You know, and it'll be sad. It'll be so sad that you'll have to take immediate action, because it's like, who am I now? Like I was not put on this earth to just like serve everyone, you know, and depending on how serving you are of your time, say you're a nurse who's also a mom, who's also a wife. It's just like, how depleted are you at the end of the day, that you just become used to the depletion, and it just that's normal for you, and you don't even feel like you don't feel bad, and then one day you will, and then that's the day you should do something about it, you know?
I think it's really easy for us. You know, and I want to say as women, because I don't really see this with the male, you know, people I'm close to in my life. I have a handful of grown men who are in my life for whatever reason, family members or friends or whatever. And I don't see this in their care, like in their day-to-day lives. I don't see them having the same struggle, which is that we forget a little bit of our identity as we take on other roles. When we get married, when we have children, when we get really into our careers, whatever it is, that our role that takes up the most of our time, we tend to lose a lot of aspects of ourselves along the way. And I don't know if that's the way that it's a societal expectation, or if that's just our nurturing nature to kind of put ourselves on the back burner to take care of others. But I've found that, you know, I know a lot of grown men who are fathers and husbands and have high level careers, and they still make time for the sports that they love. They still make time for their friends and nurture those relationships. They still go out golfing.
It's got to
stay on the weekend.
Traditional idea, Mad Men, how Brady Bunch style, how you bring up your family of the wife is at home tending to the house and the family. And like literally, I mean, I don't care if you have one kid or five kids. At the end of the day, after the house has been cleaned and the kids have been taken care of, like how much time do you have? And if you have the time, how much energy do you have? So when they're taking care of that, and now we add job, we also have to have a career with that.
Right.
But we also have these like very old traditional expectations on ourselves as women to like do all that when everything else is done, right? Like, now I know that if like for me, my thing, I talk about this a lot. My thing is working out. So I know that if I wait until the end of the day to go work out, then I'm just running on whatever's left at the end of that day, tank wise, right? So I know I have to make the time in the morning to get it done. So I feel like it was like what I wanted. So I feel like I'm getting out what I wanted to get out of it. So there's so much I need to do during that time. But if I wait until it's convenient, then I'm cheating myself. And then I'll feel almost like, what's the point? So I think as women, we just get so used to being like, oh, I'll do it when I at the end of like when I have that time. Okay, well, when your kids are in college, you're gonna have me time when your kids are in college.
I can attest as a mother who has two kids out of college.
So
and
there
two
you go.
kids still in college.
Are you
that
now doing stuff?
I do not have time.
Great.
These grown ass children still need me every day. And there's new things in my life that require my attention.
Yes, we evolve with our life and other things come up, right?
Yes. There's a psychology to this because I have noticed that in my life we've had, bigger houses and we've had normal size houses and we've had small houses. And what I've learned is that your crap, your junk, it expands for the house that you have. So when you have a bigger house, it isn't like more tidy necessarily. You just amass more and you shove it still into the closets. And
I should always live in a teeny tiny place because that seems insane to me.
Yeah. If you have a teeny tiny junk drawer, it's as full as if you have a giant junk drawer because you accommodate it. And I think our lives are the same. Like we just accept all of the things until, there is no space left. So unless you have really mastered living that like slow lifestyle where get out of hustle culture, just go live somewhere kind of remote and like make your own jams and like go walk in the forest every day. I don't even know what that life means. I wish I did.
That's the other thing. I think we also wait until it's the perfect moment to do it. You're like, I'll do it when I can make my own jam and I can have my own chickens. And it's like, just go literally, I'm not kidding, guys. Take a walk kid-free around Target. It'll change your life. It will change your life with no agenda, no list. Don't bring a list. Don't get your mayonnaise while you're there. Literally just go and see what's new and what's on clearance and have no agenda. You will come out of that recharged. It's like church. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I think what I'm going to speak for myself now, but I think this probably applies to a lot of women, a lot of moms. I have traded prioritizing myself on my schedule. I have traded that because that felt too big. I traded it for what I call like my little treat mentality, where I can get through the hardest of days if I give myself a little treat. And that could be Starbucks. It could be a Target, going to Target and buying a new pillow. It could be going to the library and picking out a book. Like a little treat for myself. The busier the day, the faster that treat is like a drive-through Starbucks run. But I can trade that, whether it's financially, energy, time, and plan something for the whole week, like where I plan a day and I take time, even if I just go out to breakfast by myself and eat a nice breakfast meal without any interruptions, because breakfast is my favorite meal of the day.
My gosh, I love breakfast and I never eat the breakfast. Like if I could do breakfast right, I haven't done it in years way I'd like to do breakfast.
Now my partner and my kids are not big breakfast eaters. So I'm the breakfast lover and they all would rather go out to dinner. I don't like eating dinner. I like eating breakfast. So I would love to go and have my French toast and my side of bacon and my diner coffee, and that would make me so happy. Why don't I do it? Why don't I do it? I could if I took all the time.
Because you and I are the same. I have the same reason, same question, because we are the same. And like, because you said it right there. Well, we're not breakfast people, and by the time, but I also, I'm like so unrealistic. I love all the things you just said, but I also like to add that I'd like to start that whole process at like 9:30. I like to casually show up. By then I'm like, dude, I got so much to do. I can't have waffles at 9 a.m. Then I got to go take a 10:30 a.m. nap. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
And by 9
every now and
a.m.
then,
by 9 a.m. I have contractors calling me. I have my email box is full. I've got stuff to do. And I need to put it into my schedule and block out that time. And even when I have done that in the past, when I've put my own thing in my schedule and blocked out the time, unless it's like a doctor's appointment or something like that,
you can't.
I will push it back. I will say something else will come up and I will immediately compromise my time, sacrifice my time. When instead of, if it was anything else, if I had an appointment with my husband or I had a Zoom call with someone, I would say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not available at that time. Can we push this?
How do we make French toast on like a same level as a doctor's appointment in your brain? Because this has to be the same. You are the same reason that a lot of us don't do this for ourselves, because the minute that something comes up, the smallest of things, we're like, well, there's the pocket of time. And that's where we put it, but it's like, why would we do that to ourselves? Because we think, oh, okay, well, we'll do it next week. And then that week comes and it's crazier than the one that you had before. You're like, I should have just gone,
Yeah. And everyone else's stuff feels so much more urgent to me than my own stuff. Even if my stuff isn't anything, it's just, I'm going to go to the park and sit in the park and enjoy nature for a little bit and read my book out in the sunshine. And, and I'm not going to take the dogs with me, and I'm not going to take any kids with me, and I'm not going to take anything. I might pack myself a little picnic by myself.
Yeah.
Well, I have never done that, but it sounds awfully nice.
I've done something similar to that. And it's very nice because it allows you to get in touch with yourself again. We're so just give from the moment we wake up, no matter who you are, that we forget, like you said, well, who we are before all this was, and like what our hobbies are, and like what our favorite smells are, and what our favorite sounds are, and what makes us smile and stuff like that. Like those are so important. And we feel really guilty when we tune into those, because it's like, I need to be doing all these other things. Like, how dare you sit here and spend an hour staring at birds in the park?
If I think about all the things that I don't do that I enjoy doing that aren't part of my regular life, it's kind of sad. I mean, I love going out to breakfast. Like I said, I love baking, and I don't do that 'cause, my husband has diabetes and he'll eat it. So I just don't bake. I love like watching true crime and watching mystery movies.
There's such a side to all of us outside of who we have to be for our roles of life that we just like, we never hang out with that side of ourselves.
No, but if I had a free day, of everyone in my life went to go do something else that day, and I had a free day, that's how you have to start my thought process, right? Yeah. If your partner took your kids, I don't know, somewhere for the day, and you had a completely free day, obviously I think our brains always go to like, you would catch up on everything that you're behind on.
I instantly like sit and scroll on my phone for like an hour, because it's just like, I want to do everything and then nothing at the same time.
It's paralyzing to think of all the options. But if you were to plan, your own day and make it a priority to make it enjoyable and not about chores and work and catching up on cleaning and organizing and all that junk, maybe pretend it's, your birthday or Mother's Day or something, and you had to plan it for yourself by yourself. What would you do? And that, I mean, really will kind of open your eyes to how much I think we're afraid to admit that there are things we want, because we don't want to be a kind of person who demands or feels selfish, I guess is where I'm going with
and
that.
I see my 5-year-old just demand the out of everything, and it was such a not like a spoiled way, but such assertiveness that I'm like, yeah, like I'm envying that, because I'm like, she wants her damn Rice Krispie treat like right now, and she's like so sure about it that I'm like, oh cool. I get that. We lose that because we work ourselves to death We do, like our jobs require so much of us nowadays. Our kids require so much. Being a parent is such a big requirement nowadays. The demands of it's just so demanding so much nowadays that it's easier to just keep like on that like on switch until like you just fall and collapse and literally hit the point of like medical exhaustion rather than like I think I need to check in with myself. I started trying to do that more. And it's good because I feel like I'm trying to preserve my soul long term. You know what I mean? Like I know that in this life, I'm only 36, but there are some days when I feel like, can I really do this for another like 30 plus? Like I'm coming up to tears thinking about it because like the grind of trying to just get to a point of contentment and happiness is exhausting, that I know that if I don't allow myself small breaks where I check in with myself and give my soul the ability to be truly happy, then I'm going to be so broken by the time I hit 40 that like I won't be able to run another how many years as just a human being. And that's my story, but that's my story on behalf of like most people, right?
I think it's very common.
We expect so much of ourselves that we will literally wait until our body tells us, hey, like we're done, rather like we don't ever hit the off switch on our own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes like we've touched on this in other podcasts, like we don't have that choice. You may have a loved one at home that needs you 24/7. You may have a job that needs you 24/7. You may be a single mom that everything needs you 24/7. Then find this. The thing is, if you're not realistic with your life situation and what that means for your me time, then it's never going to happen. Like for me, I would, oh my gosh, like this girl deserves a week to 2 in Hawaii. Pick an island. I do not care. I deserve that. I financially can't afford it. I also like can't take that type of time off. So like for me, a 30-minute kid-free walk around trip to Target where it ends up in an iced coffee in my hand, like is also, it also fixes parts of my soul that would do the same as if I was in Hawaii. Do you know what I mean? Because but doing nothing is the worst case, is the worst option, right? So be realistic with your me time, even if it's just like getting breakfast one time during this month for yourself. Like that one time will feel so great because you'll hear, like you'll be able to focus on your food and your coffee and your book and not your kids asking for an extra fork or somebody putting a spoon in their, sister's hair. Like it just gets weird at breakfast with kids. So like if that's your me time and it can only happen once a month, that's good too. Just try and
I love spending time with my friends and my kids and my partner, but I really for my soul need alone time, and I need quiet time where I'm not having to be on and talk. And I'm an introvert by my nature. So I mean I if I don't do it, what ends up happening is that I just break. I just get to a point where I look at my family and I say, guys, I love you more than life itself. You're the reason I wake up in the morning, but I need to not see your fucking face for the next 20 minutes.
Bless that. Oh my God.
And they're like, oh, mom, go take a bubble bath. You need alone time. They'll tell me because I get snappy and I get and I don't want them to feel that way because I have had experiences in my life where I have felt like, although my, parent never said no to me, it was conveyed that my request was a burden, and I'm not saying that I was not neglected. I'm not saying anything like that, but there was a big sigh.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
What do you need? I just felt like I don't want my kids
and
to
you
feel
don't
like that.
see that until you're a parent. Like my mom is no longer with us, but my mom was one of the most giving, most like selfless moms ever. She did everything for like she was incredible. But I remember her having a lot of, in my opinion, like attitude or being snappy or me feeling like the size that you talk about. And now I think about it and now I'm just thinking she just never took what we're talking about. She probably just never took herself out on that damn date because my dad wasn't into, like, I don't know. I just feel like hearing stories about my mom when she was in her 20s from my grandparents or my aunt or whatever, and like hearing the person that was never the person I saw as a kid. And I feel like she just dove into being a teacher and dove into being a mom and just doted on all of, and that was
Yeah.
her outlet of happiness. And I think no matter how good you are at it, it's just not filling the cup that we all need to fill, you know? And so I just feel like her snappiness was just probably coming from like not filling up her own cup.
Yeah, it was
You know?
just
And that saddens me.
she needed to recharge her batteries. And I think
Yeah.
that's even amplified if your job is also in a caregiving, whether you're a teacher or a nurse or somebody who needs to give of themselves to do their job. It just kind of amplifies that need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
recharge those
And
batteries.
if having this talk right now isn't enough of a fire for you to do it for yourself, hearing the fact that the people that you love around you are going to enjoy your presence more when you fill that cup up should be enough. If you still, if it's just going to be for others, the others want you to do it for you too. Cause like you just said, like your kids will be like, oh yeah, go take that bubble bath. Like you're
Yeah.
better for your people when you have worked on yourself a little and filled your own cup a little bit, you know?
Right.
So do it for them, I guess. If you're not going to do it for you, do it for them. Because like, yeah, when I come back from a 2-hour walk around Main Street in Disneyland and I've just bought a churro and no one gets it, but I do, doesn't matter if no one gets it. Like mom is back and her head is like in a much clearer place. And I can handle 20 BS things at once because I just filled my own cup up a little bit. You know what I mean? That's why also why I work out in the morning. Cause like, like shit hits the fan all day long, but it's like, you know, happy, like Elle would say, like working out, like makes
serotonin.
Yeah. So it's like, I've already gotten that out of the way. And so like, I can handle all the small, tiny battles with like a more clear mind, and I'm not snapping at my kids, and I'm not, you know, like it's better for everyone if I go get that done then, and I go focus on that. So,
well, and honestly, it's a wonderful example to our children when we show them that we are more than just their mom. We're a well-rounded adult person who has their own interests and who nurtures those interests. They watch everything we do from a very young age, whether or not we're explaining to them, that this is something you should do or shouldn't do. They watch us and they pick up on a lot more than we give them credit for. So when you have your own interests as a person and you tell your kids, they might, believe me, I cannot tell you how many times I would go on a vacation or something, even just for the weekend, and I would get a call from one of the little ones crying, "Mommy, when are you coming back? I love you so much." Yeah. And so while they may not understand it in that moment or appreciate it in that moment, you making sure that they see you nurture your own personal life and your own interests and your own, identity outside of being just their mom is so important, because they'll carry that the rest of their life, and it will shape how they are as a parent and whether they feel the same kind of guilt that we feel making those choices.
I literally get, my 10-year-old has a cell phone now. She got it for her 10th birthday. And I literally will get text messages while I'm working out from my 10-year-old. The hard guilt stricken text. "I'm so bored," or "they're so annoying. Come get me." And I'm just like, I read it and I'm like, like I still got 30 more minutes left on this workout, because I do remember my mom and dad never like did things for themselves, but I do remember going to kids club while they worked out as a kid. Like, like I do. So maybe they did take a little time, but it's like the guilt. Oh, if I go to a movie, when are you coming back? Like if I go to Disney, like, oh, it hit the fan this weekend, because I was telling you off before we started recording. I threw my friends and I threw a Bridgerton party. And we've been planning this for months. And my husband, I didn't know this when we were planning it, was also going to be out of state at the same time. And my daughter had her very last soccer game of her very first season of soccer on the same day at the same time of my party. And my husband wasn't in town to watch her game or take her. So I had fixed it. Oh, and I was hosting this party too. I just want to mention I was hosting this party. So I had the guilt of my child. "You're going to miss my last game." And I'm like thinking, well, I'm also hosting this party. So we made a compromise where I was going to leave at the fourth quarter, like the start of the fourth. I left at the end of the game because it was just like the mom guilt, but it was just, I I had to remind her that when I left, because she's very good on putting the mom guilt on, like a lot of kids are,
Mm-hmm.
I had to remind her that I was already sacrificing an hour plus of my party that I was hosting to be at her game because it was important to me. So when I left, please don't make me feel guilty. But it's hard to stand your ground as a parent and say, hey guys, this is my me time. I'm going to paint a picture with my friend while we drink wine. This is what we do now. But you're right. I mean, if my 10-year-old, I can tell by just her, the way she carries herself and how she talks to others, she's very much a people pleaser. And if I never take time for myself and she never sees me take time for myself, I might be like amplifying that for adulthood. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I want her to understand that it's okay to take time for yourself, and you're not supposed to wake up and just like please everyone and make everything happy. So fight that parent guilt, because the kids don't know
Yeah.
you're doing it for your mental health. You know, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, May, and like this is a big thing because I feel like as parents we love being a parent so much that becomes our identity, and that's okay, but at some point like it's not okay.
Yeah. I mean, I had a really challenging weekend this weekend, particularly Sunday. It was just the perfect storm of crap. And
Best way to put it.
yeah, and by midday on Monday, I really physically broke, and I did take about 45 minutes and try to get myself through that, because I had to leave my house in the morning Monday by 7:30, and I didn't get home until pretty late. I had appointments all day long, and Sunday was just kicked my ass.
Yes.
Every way to yeah. I was at the I won't even go into it. It's not my story to tell.
A few,
but I was at the
expected and a few
hospital.
unexpected
Yeah.
events.
I was at the hospital Sunday, and I didn't get home from the hospital until like 10:30 at night. And then I had to leave my house by 7:30 the next morning and leave with things unresolved from the hospital visit. So it was just very bad.
Your mind was just totally chill, I'm sure.
So Monday, I physically completely broke down from just no sleep, no energy, just, yeah. But I can still feel like mentally that even though I've rested and I got a good night's sleep last night, somewhat, I feel mentally that I am very depleted still. So, I mean, I need to really take time this week and maybe this afternoon or tomorrow morning
down even
and just do something.
When like on Sunday, did you eat anything even? Because I know that when things hit the fan, like I also don't take care of my body, and that exacerbates like all the bad things, right? So
yeah, I did not eat well on Sunday, but Monday morning, my youngest made me breakfast before I had to leave the house because she knew I would be in a hurry.
Bless the children.
So
so sweet.
Yeah.
But you still weren't taking, like, if she wasn't there, you probably
I wasn't going to eat breakfast. No.
Yeah. That's so terrible, because like you anticipated a couple of your Sunday events, but then some things like the hospital, for example, were not anticipated. And so I
had 2 medical emergencies in the same day, and then anticipated stressful, emotionally depleting events. So
it's not
I really needed
your body will shut freaking down if you do not stop.
Yeah. No, I mean, yesterday I was like mid meeting, and the people I was with were like, "You're not looking super great. Like, are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm actually super not okay. I'm going to just take a time out." And I did. And
oh my God. I would be like, that's such a loaded question, but, how dare you? Like, oh
yeah, but I did. I mean,
you look really tired. Like, just tell your heart and your head and your body was just carrying. Like,
I was yawning nonstop through the meeting. I had dark circles under my eyes. I was fading, and they were like, "Girl,
my God,
go take care. Are you okay?" And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm so far from okay. So I did. I took about 45 minutes, and I did.
Oh, wow. Now in those 45 minutes, were you just like physically asleep, or did you do something?
I was not asleep, but I did like go find a quiet place, and I like kind of laid down and just like breathed.
Did you bring your phone with you, or did you leave that somewhere else?
I had brought my phone with me, and it went off multiple times over those 45 minutes, and I ignored it.
Are you okay? For me, I have to, not because I can't ignore it. It's just like having my phone around me like, I feel like that's the bad guy. So if I carry it with me, like sometimes I'll leave my phone, like I'll literally put it in like my drawer, shove the drawer in, and then just force myself to watch a TV show start to finish without looking at my phone. Because like, I feel like I'm like being asked for something. Like I just don't, I want to be like unavailable, like in the 90s when you like your home phone was the jam. And if
that was
you
the
weren't
best.
home and you were at like the grocery store, then like leave a message. I will get back to you when I can. Now it's like, that's the thing, is that we are people pleasers and people can get a hold of us at any moment. And we feel like we have to be available. So even if we don't want to be available, we still carry our phones with us, because that, I'm sorry, you are the exception to this rule. That will be the moment that somebody like something traumatic will happen.
That's
right?
the thing. I couldn't not have it with me
because that's been your life. That's been your actual
well,
life.
and the day Sunday, there were 2 different medical emergencies. So things left unresolved on Monday didn't make me feel like I could leave my phone in the next room.
I get it. But it's so frustrating.
Yeah, but so today we're recording this on Tuesday, and I physically feel better, but mentally I'm extremely depleted. So I'm going to prioritize. I'll do it this afternoon.
What do you
something
do
for
when you
myself.
feel this way? What do you do? What does your body gravitate towards when you feel this way?
I like pull into my turtle shell, and I usually get in something cozy, and I'm under the covers, and I blank out my mind, either by, watching something on TV, reading a book, scrolling on my phone, or just like closing my eyes to the world. I can't nap. I've never been able to, but I can close my eyes and just like literally shut down my brain and just kind of like, I'll think my thoughts, and I'll often like work out things in my head of how I'm really feeling about something. But that's my, like, if the kids or my husband see me curled up like that in the middle of the day in bed, they know,
unlike you. It's so unlike you. They know
they're
something.
like, okay, yeah, we're gonna leave her alone. We don't want any part of that. So everybody is better off if I do take some time. But I think today, because I don't know if I'm quite at that point today, I think today I will take some time and just do something for myself, whether that is, going for a walk on the beach, or just
sometimes
something.
For me, it's just giving myself permission to not do a couple things that are on my list. Even just forgiving myself for maybe not getting to that and maybe doing it tomorrow. If it's not something that's due by today, you know what I mean? But like being like, okay, you're already feeling overwhelmed and it's 1 p.m. and like you still have the rest of the day. You're probably not going to get to it. And even if you do, you're going to be working at a 40% level, and it's not going to be the work that you know you can do. Just forgive yourself for the idea that you're not perfect today, and allow yourself to use that time to just be slower. Sometimes just slowing down is better, because sometimes like we don't have the time to just like shut off and like go have a cappuccino and a croissant at the middle in the afternoon. But maybe just slowing down, and maybe just taking the kids to the park and just sitting, rather than like trying to get everything done with the kids at home. Do you know what I mean? Just adjusting your environment to a more calm, serene place is sometimes all we can do, because like we've touched on, a lot of people are a victim of their environment and cannot take that time ever. So I don't ever want anyone to feel like they can never have me. You can find the me time even in the chaos. It just may have to just look a little different. Like I work from home. And so I'm always trying to figure out how to, when the kids are home from school, how to do both at the same time. And sometimes it's like, you just got to kind of wave that white flag and go, I'm not doing anyone on any service on either. Like I'm a shitty mom and I'm a shitty employee. So I got to pick one and just like be cool with it.
Yeah.
Our expectations of ourselves can be really high too. So sometimes just being more, even if it's not taking yourself out on a date, just putting yourself at the top for, even if it's just when you're thinking about what to do next. We're at the bottom. We're always at the bottom. I would feel so guilty. I would never be like, I'm exhausted. Yeah, I'm going to sit. Like, I would be like, I'm exhausted. Shit, girl, that's life. Sorry, you're in your 30s and you're a mom. Keep going. Like, okay, sometimes, but that can't be all the time, right? Sometimes self-care or taking yourself out on a date can just be giving yourself the permission to like sit the F down and like chill.
Yeah, I mean, when my kids were in high school, middle school and high school, I would sanction them to take what we called in our house mental health days, and where I would call in sick for them. And even though they were not physically sick, and they would stay in their bed and eat snacks and watch TV and kind of make a burrito with their blankets and just take a day off from all the social stuff and schoolwork and stuff like that. Now, we always made sure it wasn't a day where they had an important test or something, a presentation, anything like that. They would let me know.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of like BS days at school where they basically, you know, where it's like you could miss that and it'd be fine.
They would tell me like, Mom, I'm really burnt out. I really need a mental health day. And I know how important school attendance is, so don't come at me for this, but I would allow them to do that.
Let's talk about how important mental health is.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that while I totally understood that my teenage children needed mental health days, a break from their normal responsibilities in order to recharge, I didn't allow myself those same breaks and that same consideration. And that, I mean, what the heck?
I know. I know. And it sucks. And I honestly hope that we all have these come to conversation moments with ourselves earlier than like high school or middle school, because like it's just not fair, you know? And yeah, some like when they're really little, like newborn, like, yeah, I'm sorry, you might not get like a date to your, but no, that's not true. There are like so many people that are like, girl, you're up every 2 hours feeding the kid, like go take a shower and a nap. And I got this baby. Like we also, like we've touched on in other conversations, are so resistant to giving into help from others. Like,
yeah, I mean, people love tiny babies. That's when they want to help the most, right? When they're so cute and cuddly.
Even if you have terrible, horrible, awful 4-year-olds and they're triplets, like there will be somebody that does not have that life 24/7, that it may suck for them for 2 hours, but that's not like their whole life 24 hours a day. And they see you literally like falling apart at the cracks, that they're like, I will take your chaos and you don't even have to pay me for it. I just don't want to see you on like the news doing something crazy. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we just need to reach out for the people that love us or like us and just be like, I need help. You know, like I was alone for 3-4 days over the weekend and I needed some weird babysitting situations and I reached out for all kinds of help and I got it done and it worked out fine. And it was really good that I literally like called my dad to come over and watch the kids for an hour because I wanted to go work out and the kids club wasn't open. And it would have been so much easier for me to be like, never mind. But I was like, no, I deserve an hour away from the chaos, you know, but that came from me prioritizing myself as a practice for so long that it became a non-negotiable thing, you know? Yeah. And that itself is such a flex that I have gotten to a point in my life where I can still be a mom of 2 young kids and in a non-selfish way have a non-negotiable. Like I'm not saying bye kids, I'm going to go to the bar for 2 hours. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But like I'm doing something healthy and strong and it's been non-negotiable, you know, but it is what it is. You just have to like make that time. And if you don't have the immediate help with your spouse or, you know, somebody or babysitter, then, you know, reach out for the people who can help, because like mental health is so important no matter your age. If your kids need a mental health day because their school expectations can be so crazy now, especially at a young age, especially if you're on track to become, you know, say you're on these like really crazy levels of math or science, or like you're on track to go to a certain college and you have these expectations of yourself. That's so draining for a teenager or a middle school kid who's already has their life planned out for them, you know?
Yeah.
I could totally see how that'd be important to have. Yeah, I mean, it's scary to see all the talks about, you know, how mental health can be for young teens and young kids and teenagers. And you don't have to be an adult and a parent to be burnt out and need some self-care time, you know?
Seriously. And that's what I think I need to start implementing is, if, you know, the same way that I would allow the kids to tell me in the morning that they needed a mental health day, and let them have that day and not come into their room 2 hours later and be like, well, since you're home from school, why don't you clean up this room? Why don't you help me with this? Why don't we go here? That's not what it was about. It was literally just, them having this, treating themselves the same way they would if they had a physical sickness
It's
and they
so
needed
funny.
to rest.
I'd like pretend to be sick. Like I would go to extremities, in the thermometers, like I would put that under the lamp to try and make it go up. Like I went to extremities to fake being sick because I just straight up sometimes just needed a day. And my mom
and
never, I had to prove I had a fever and I was nauseous and I was like contagious as to everybody to stay home. And even then it was like, well, no TV, no this, like it was miserable. Like I'd rather go to sleep. And now that I think about it, maybe that was just me needing a day off.
Yeah, that's what we all do. We all do. So if you treat your body the same way you would if it was physically sick and just let it rest and have its favorite things, and why don't we do that? And why don't I do that for myself? That's
because you're thinking of all the things you should be doing in that time, that like we feel so guilty about taking that time to watch our junk TV and eat our junk food. And you're just like, who does that? Like a selfish teenager who has no job and no responsibilities and still lives at home. Like that's who does that. That's the 1% that get to do that. Everybody else. I mean, I know when I'm sitting down and the kids are at school and I decided I was going to be veg instead of work. Like I'm thinking about all the work I'm not doing while sitting there. Like I'm not even enjoying the moment. That's the other thing is like people like us, we wouldn't even enjoy it even if we had it. Like we don't.
But the thing is, like if you don't, if you don't say no to people's demands of you and take that time, eventually your body will say no for you and will, you will be physically sick if you don't take care of yourself when you're emotionally drained. So I need to learn that lesson and take some mental health days because we all need them. And we need to also let go of that guilt because it's not founded. It's very wrong that we feel that way.
Absolutely.
Well, I encourage anyone who's listening to this and this, if it resonates with you, to try to plan something that's, for yourself in your own way that feels healing and feels like self-care and self-love. That can be whatever it means to you. It's a very individual thing. Whether you are on that little treat mindset that I have, or if you, do something regularly for yourself and just feel like maybe you could benefit from a bigger expression of self-love, whether that's a mental health day or a little trip by yourself or going to a movie by yourself or whatever it is. We would love to hear also what works for you guys, because obviously from this conversation, you can tell that Megan and I both struggle with this.
My problem is I wait for others to do it for me. I'm like, you know what? My birthday is coming up or Mother's Day is coming up. Or like, for instance, this weekend is my husband's and my 12-year wedding anniversary. And so I expect other people to like show up in a way that I would like totally show up for them. And so I literally am like, maybe that's when it'll happen. And then it doesn't happen. I'm like, why am I waiting for life moments or days on the calendar or someone else, heaven forbid, to make these plans or treat me to something? Because not everyone treats you the same way you treat them. Such a shame.
No.
So
well, not everyone has our same love languages, and not everyone understands, when we need that kind of rejuvenation and battery charging, because they may have a different stamina level than we do.
Don't wait for others to do it for you. You can totally do it for yourself.
No, and I think it means more when we proactively choose to do something for ourselves and not like let other people dictate.
Do you remember when we were like kids and we would wake up and every decision we made was for our own personal happiness? Like I would wake up and be like, do you remember? You'd wake up and be like, I'm going to play Barbies. I'm going to go play Bubbles. I'm going to call Jen and see if she's available to play. Like every decision we made from what we ate
about our own happiness
was only for our own happiness. Not one decision until I was an adult was like, I wonder if my brother would enjoy that. F that. I'd be like, oh, does it make him mad? Let's do that. Like all for self-happiness. Like, and then somewhere along the line, I think it's when we get our first job and you have to start to like answer to others and make other people happy. And then you become a wife and then you become a parent. And then you're like, never think about your own happiness. But do you remember that? Just
I do.
Totally innocent selfishness.
I do. And I watch my partner who is semi-retired and on the rare occasion he'll have a work appointment and his day will be structured, or doctor's appointments. There's a lot of doctor's appointments. But other than that, he wakes up every morning whenever he naturally wakes up. It varies wildly. And then he asks himself, what do I feel like doing today?
It's
I want to go ride my horses. I want to go for a drive. I want to go for breakfast. Like, he literally just does whatever he wants.
That to me is life. That to me is like that is what the epitome of having the best life ever is.
Oh yeah. And I'll ask him, I'll go, what do you have going on today? I have this appointment, that appointment, this guy's calling me, I've got a Zoom, I got to, and he's like, I thought I'd go for a walk on the beach and then come back here and take a nap. And then, I don't know, maybe go out for a drink. And I'm like, okay, have a great day.
My brain would go, cool. Sounds like you got time for at least 25 to 45% of my list. Here's this. Like, oh, that's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing. The sad part is that when I realized that's what my epitome of like making it is. And I realized I hit it when I was 4 to 9, and it might not ever come back until I'm like 84. Like, it's the most depressing thing. Cause I'm like, oh, I had it. Oh, I lost it. Like, okay, wait, I gotta wait. How long to get it back again? Okay. I'll just pace this out in iced coffees once every 2 weeks and try and not feel bad about that. About my iced bean water that I just bought for $6 because so I could feel something today. Yeah. Whatever. That's where I am right now. You got to meet yourself where you are in your life. Like where you just said, like, you got a billion things going on. He doesn't. But you know what? When he was your age, he had a billion things going on.
Oh, way more than me. He was way more than me.
Never stopping.
Yeah, I don't.
Let me put in that time.
Yeah, I should say that for anyone who's new to this podcast or doesn't know my personal
this
situation.
Has not been his whole life.
This is not.
Yeah.
By no means is this man a lazy person.
Oh boy, no.
He's considerably older than me, so he is semi-retired now. And he worked 6 days a week, like 12-hour days for his entire adult life. Mm-hmm. So he has earned this semi-retirement.
I'm sure relaxing and this mentality that he has was like an earned thing.
It took him years to taper off the work schedule because it was such an ingrained part of him.
Yes.
When I hear that he has nothing on his agenda other than a walk on the beach and a nap, I'm tears of joy.
I'm
because
happy
this
for him,
man
because
worked
I know
himself to death, like literally gave himself heart attacks working too hard. So I appreciate that.
And there was a time where like the thought of having this much free time almost scared him too, because he thrived on that high paced work environment where he's like, wait, what do you mean we're doing nothing? Like now he's in it and he's loving it. And that makes me so happy, because that gives us hope for us all, because even somebody who is a literal workhorse can now find the joy of just living life.
Yeah, he deserves those kind of slow days. So I'm very happy for him. But again, we are still trying to figure this out on our own, and many of you listening may have figured out something that works. So share it with us. Give us the wisdom. Teach us, because we need it. You can go to Facebook and search She's a Full-On Monet. We have a page there, and it has a discussion group if you want to share with us. That's a great way to communicate with us. There's an article about taking yourself on a date that's coming out this week. And if you want to comment on that, some of your best tips or ways that you found to prioritize yourself, I would love to hear
some of your favorite date ideas that you've taken yourself on. Cause I'm always open for new ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, the peak has been buying a watercolor paint set and going and listening to the waves and painting. But like, if you got something along those lines, like I'm open to other ways to treat myself. Share away.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say and maybe implement it some in my own life. But we appreciate you guys and how you show up for us every week. And hopefully, someone benefited from this conversation today. I feel like I did.
Yeah. As a reminder to yourself, I heard you say out loud the things that you need to do. So you better be eating some French toast at like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Seriously.
You know what I mean? Like, even if that's it.
I might need to go get some beignets and some coffee tomorrow morning and just make it a me day. Mm-hmm. Or a me morning, at least, if I can't take the whole day.
You don't have the ability to take the whole day. That would be insane. If you actually took the whole day and some life didn't, like karma didn't come at you, that would be like tell me about that. But like, you could probably get away with 2 hours before life finds out. I say life because like life will find out.
Yeah.
And then you'll get the call.
Mhm.
Fill in the call being what it is, but like you could probably get away with like a couple hours, like at least a nice little slow breakfast morning.
That's what I'm thinking. So
Sometimes
I'm going to
you
try to
even-
make that happen.
Sometimes it's even getting a head start. Sometimes it's like, okay, if I get there by 8, so by 10, I'm sure some shit will come up. So at least I'll get those 2 hours in before somebody finds out that I've been enjoying my life. Do you know? It's so
Yeah.
sad, but go get
Yeah.
it. Like, you know,
Yeah, I think I need to do that.
do it. Do it.
All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. We always love chatting with you. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.